Okay, great. Wow. It's October. It still feels, of course, we've been busy setting up this morning, but it still feels warm. I think we're probably going to be having some cooler weather sometime soon, right? Okay. I may have said this before, but when John moved us here from Colorado several years ago, I remember calling my mom and saying, it was around Thanksgiving. I said, "You're not going to believe this. We're still running the air conditioner here." So anyway, I'm glad to have you here. Thank you so much for coming today. We've got a great program for you. Everybody's got a handout. Everybody checked in at the main table up here, yes? All right, perfect. So today, we're going to have a seminar that's called,
No, we're not.
I think we're on the wrong one, Debbie. We did that last month. But while she's doing that, okay, that's fine, because actually, how many of you were in Arlington last month? Oh, I love this. We sent you away with a challenge. Your challenge was go home and do something to start simplifying your life. So what I'd like to do is just have a couple people raise their hand and let me know, what did you start on? Or complete, yes?
Closets, files, garage, kitchen drawers, metal stuff.
Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. Awesome.
I challenged them.
Oh, I love that. So you're on a roll now. That's good. Who else? Yes, I bet.
I wasn't as adventurous. I just cleaned off some things off the back porch that I've been trying to do.
Okay, yeah, back porch, yeah. Because eventually we're going to want to sit out there, in the cooler weather. One more. Yes.
Cleaned out a kitchen cabinet and a desk drawer.
Kitchen cabinet and?
The main drawer in our desk.
All right. Were you surprised at all the things that you pulled out of there? Now, even though you did that, you have sworn to yourself you're not going to put anything back in there to replace that empty space, right?
Right.
Awesome. Great. Okay, good. Okay, we got the right thing now. Perfect. So now that we've talked about simplifying, today we're going to talk about embracing change. Specifically, we're going to talk about our backup plan. So let's go ahead and get rolling. So this is our team. And I know that, let me just do this. How many of you are first timers to our seminars? Okay, so we have just a few people here. And what I'd like to do is I want real quick, if my team would raise their hands. And we do have another team member back there at the table. That's Mr. Sullivan. Okay. If there's anything that you need throughout the seminar that you feel like I need attention for, I don't have a pen to write, or I didn't get the handout that Debbie's promised, just let us know, because one of us will be available, except for me, because I'm going to be up here with you. All right, great. All right, so we'd already talked about last month while Debbie was getting us on the right presentation today, so I don't think we need to do anything there. But I thought this was a pretty interesting quote from Yogi Berra. If you don't know where you're going, you're going to end up someplace else, right? We got to have a plan. We need to know where we're going. There's always room for change, but we got to have something that we're going to be doing there. And knowing where we're going is going to make us feel better about that. So the purpose of today's seminar, a couple of different ideas. We have done something, you may be thinking, oh, I've already been to something like this. We've done something like this in the past, but we have different variations of it. And especially because we have a great team of experts up here to share their point of view on this topic. So we're going to give you an overview on aging in place with support, because there are several of you over the years that have said, I'm not going anywhere, I want to stay at home, and I just need to know how can I make that happen. We have people here that can help with that. We're going to be talking about age-restricted living. And when I saw that, I went, oh, that sounds so restrictive. Age-restricted, I mean, after all these years, we've earned not to be restricted. But really what we're talking about there is living in an environment that we have more people that are our age than maybe a younger age. So we've got a couple of people that are going to talk about that. And then what we'd like to call the supportive environment. And what I mean by that is, what else is available out there that can support me when I need more help, more services, than what I might get at the other two? So we'll talk about that. Also, the goals for today. These are the things that we want to try to accomplish, our goals for today. So keeping this in mind, we got to start doing and thinking about things like a backup plan when we're still independent. That's the most important time to do it, when we can still do those things and have and make those choices. Choice is super important to us, and we're going to talk more about that. We want you to know what's out there. What are the different choices in case my plan A does not support that and I need to go to the plan B. Control. I want to make my decisions versus somebody else doing that for me. I want to be involved in making a decision, and we've got a great tool for you to do that. And then the last one, of course, is preparedness. Nothing may change today, nothing may change tomorrow, but if something does change, I've prepared. I had control over the information I wanted to share with my family members. They were my choices, and this is how I'd like to move forward. So that's our game plan for today, our goal for today. So what I'd like to do first is I'd like to take a moment and actually introduce you to my team of experts here, and the way that I've got this slide set up is it's actually going to start with Paige first.
Okay, I'm Paige Wolk, and I am a social worker. I'm with Overture Home Care, and we help older adults age in place.
Okay, and then I'd like to go from there to Tony.
Hi y'all, I'm Tony Sutterth. I'm the sales director for Reliant at Home, and we provide home health and hospice services to you in home, whether that's home or a great assisted living or memory care.
Scott.
I'm Scott Madison. I'm with David Weekly Homes, and I'm representing our Encore series, which is our active adult community, 55 and older community.
That's great. And Ashley.
I'm Ashley, and I am the community manager at the Hardnut Public Market, and we are a 62 and older active adult community.
And Pam.
Good afternoon. I'm Pam Heyman. I'm the executive director at Stevenson Oaks here in Fort Worth. We are a continuing care retirement community, and we'll talk more about what that means.
Okay, that sounds great. Let me ask you one quick thing here. Can you hear us up here okay? Again, we've talked about that over the years of I couldn't hear you. So we do have a microphone up here at this location. There's only one for us to share. So if you can't hear, we need to know that so that we can use our microphone to answer some of the questions that I'll be asking our team up here. All right, so moving right along. Well, let's take a look at this. What does a backup plan mean? What does that mean to you? What does that mean? So for me, my backup plan would be, I've got a list of things that I want to do the rest of my life that I'm planning on doing, but just in case something changes, I have a backup plan. So let me ask a couple of you here in the audience. Who has a backup plan? What does that mean to you? Say it. What's your backup plan? Do you have one?
Well,
Yes, Joanna.
estate plan
An estate plan. That's great.
and
That's
all the
great.
papers.
Okay, and all the papers that go with it, right. We just went through that exercise,
Yeah.
didn't we? Yeah, who else? Why, Beth? You've got a backup plan.
Same thing with estate planning.
Estate planning. Okay, not meant to put you on the spot, but we're going to be talking about that today. So if you weren't ready to volunteer, maybe the reason was, well, I don't know, I know I should have one like that, but I haven't worked on it yet, or haven't started it, or maybe I started one, but I've been busy revising it over the last few years so that it's perfect. Or today I'm going to learn how to make a backup plan, right? So what I'd like to do is I want to go to my experts over here. And Tony, I'm going to start with you. And I would like you, each one of you, to tell us, what does a backup plan mean to you?
For work, for home health and hospice, your backup plan would be to have a plan in place. So most of us don't think about when we need home health or hospice. It's always that tragedy and somebody says, here's a card, call this number. But resources like this are so great because...
I can't hear you very
Oh, yes ma'am. Thank you. Is my mom's voice better? Okay. For a home health and hospice backup plan, I suggest that you guys make friends, get acquaintances, have contacts, because we're thought of in the emergency situation, whether that be right when the hip fracture happens and we're having surgery, or that means we're ER and moving out and now we have to go to rehab and then home. What are we gonna do? So having those resources, talking to your friends, asking which agencies they've worked with and they've loved, it's so important, especially once you get into the hospice realm. We have one chance to do it right, and I want to make sure you guys have those resources.
Yeah, great. So before you move on to Paige, I'm going to have 2 questions for each one of you, actually. When do you typically see people that need to be exploring the services that you offer as a backup plan?
I don't recommend waiting for the emergencies. So you can have home health when you are at home. We are a great preventative measure. We want to come into your home and keep you from having that hospitalization. So if there's a change in condition, if you have CHF and it's getting worse, if you have COPD and it's getting worse, if you've had a UTI or a change in medication, all of those are easy home health qualifiers. So we can come in, help you get better and stronger before there might be a chance of a hospitalization.
Great. Paige, how about you?
The backup plan for home care and for any of our services, I would say as a social worker, most of the calls that we get or that I get are in a crisis situation and they don't even know what questions to ask. Mom is in the hospital, now what? I don't think she can go back home. I don't even know where to start looking. So having a plan, when Ingrid asked anybody what the backup plan, most people will talk about the financial, the estate. I know I have that worked out, but the healthcare plan, nobody wants to think they're gonna need help, but to educate yourself, that's why I commend everyone who comes, because you guys are getting educated about this before you need it. And you may never need it, but at least have those resources in place, and home care is one of those that it's probably the least invasive. We have a caregiver that can stay 4 hours to around the clock and help you in your home. We help a lot in independent living, so your home is wherever you live. But
And we've got some more questions to follow up
yeah.
on that.
Okay, and then the second question was?
The second question is, when do you see people begin exploring the different types of services?
Yeah, so if they are educated about it and have a friend or neighbor that has used a home care, then we can get a call, and that's always the best case scenario because it's really before you need a lot of help. But unfortunately, it's usually when a crisis, a hospitalization, a fall. We've noticed mom has really declined in her dementia, and it's always someone else in the family calling in a crisis. It's never you that gets to call and make the call. So that's what I would encourage you to find a company you're comfortable with before you need it, and say, if I ever need a little extra help at home from a caregiver, then I know that I'm going to call this person.
Great, thank you. Pam, you are here today to represent a whole lot of different communities, healthcare, living. So what's your take on that?
So my take on a backup plan is that essentially a CCRC, or continuing care retirement community like Stevens Oaks, can ultimately be your plan, and the backup is built in with it. Because we have independent living that is very vibrant, and you're independent just as you all are now. Then we also have assisted living, and we have memory care. So if your journey takes you there, you have your plan, you have your choice made. And like Paige had mentioned, there's lots of options that can be pulled into independent living just as if you were at home. So ultimately, like I say, it can be your backup plan built in. And then when do folks start to shop? Well, I've seen everything from a 60-something to a 90-something. But truly, my recommendation would be, in your probably early 70s, mid 70s, somewhere in there, as you're starting to think and starting to plan, start to shop around if you think that a continuing care retirement community is for you. And I always encourage people to visit multiple locations, because it's a big decision, and pick something that you're comfortable with.
So for me, backup plan, in my experience working at 55 and over and 62 and over, is a lot of the times people don't necessarily have one, or they haven't given much thought to it. Being very young myself, I always encourage everyone to have a backup plan, whether it be finances or levels of care or where your next home may be. A lot of times we see people transition into 55 and over or 62 and over because they're just tired of home ownership, don't want to deal with all the upkeep, landscaping, the price tags of upkeep and maintenance of a home. And a lot of people choose to make that decision and they come to 55 or 62 to get back to all the things that you love to do without having to do and worry about maintenance, upkeep, all of those kinds of things.
Thank you. Okay, Scott.
Transitions right into me. So if you still like your home, you still want to be in a home, but those stairs are kind of a little bit too much for you. The home's a little bit too big, the yard's a little bit too big. That's where my community here with Encore and David Weekly, that's where we fit in. You still get the benefits of being a homeowner, you still get the benefits of having that equity built up, but you have a little bit smaller home. A home that is designed for people 55 and older. Bigger doorways, more open spaces, those kind of things. That's what we are, and then you have these guys as your backup plan, because a lot of these guys, obviously Tony and these guys can take care of you when you're at home. These ladies, I apologize. But these ladies, they have programs that can take care of you. So we're just a different step than these guys. When should you seek this thing? Pretty much what I see most people seeking these things out if they want to get closer to their grandchildren. That's really much pretty much, or they're tired of going up and down stairs. That's when I see people coming to us looking for these options.
Great. We'll talk more about that as well. Thank you. Okay, so reasons to have a backup plan. They all gave us what their interpretation would be of a backup plan for you. Let's look at some things here. So life can change suddenly. We all know that. Things just change. All of a sudden, everything's been going along great, and all of a sudden, oh, we hadn't planned for that. So that would be a reason to have a backup plan. It keeps you in control of future decisions. We've talked a lot about that. Planning ahead is going to make a difference. Having all the pieces and parts that go with that in place make a difference. But planning ahead is going to be great for you so that you can feel like, I got that. I've already been through that. The obvious, it reduces the stress for you and your family. If you have a backup plan and your family knows it, whether it's your best friends that are your family because everybody's gone or not close by, or it's your family, it makes a difference for them because they feel like they're supporting you, and together that backup plan that you created is going to be one that's easy for them to help support you. And then we have make your wishes clear, and we're going to talk more about these. So as we break down each section of this, having your wishes identified, whether it be in pencil, on paper, in a video, we can all do that now since we carry a camera on us or in our purse all the time. But having those things there is going to be meaningful to those people that want to support you. So I want to share a story with you. I have a couple that I worked with in Arlington, and their kids were grown, they had grandchildren, they had a daughter that lived close by in Keller and another one that lived in Abilene. They were traveling, their house was the perfect size for them, they've had it remodeled, everything was going according to plan. And on one of the trips that they went on, Mrs. Jones started to seem agitated and forgetful about things. And, you know, I mean, as I could tell you, as John would probably say too, as a wife, sometimes we just get agitated about things, but, you know, it was a different thing. The forgetfulness was coming on more and more, and over a period of about 6 months, the girls, the daughters that they had, started noticing that this isn't mom. She usually has everything in order and together and kind of leading dad along. So what happened for me is through a referral from a retirement community that I had a relationship with, I got a phone call from the daughters. And they said, Ingrid, we need you to come and convince our parents to move. Well, that's not really my role at all. But my role would be, let's get together and talk about it and see what's different and how I could help, or are there some resources that they could have. When I went to the home, Mr. Jones actually was the person that I thought was confused. Mrs. Jones had it, I mean, she was there, she greeted me at the door, come on in, let me get you something to drink. Oh, by the way, I've got some papers that I think are going to be important to you. This is what we want to do. And I was thinking, are you girls sure? But that was what was happening for them. As it came down to it, I had a meeting with the parents, And the dad said to me, this is my house and I'm making a decision about where I'm going. I know they love us. We are not going to be doing what they want. We're doing what we want. The girls had already arranged for them to move to a retirement community with a villa because they wanted them to have one more small home that was going to be good for them before they maybe moved into the building. And we went ahead and proceeded with that transaction so that we could do it slowly, but in a way that the parents felt supported. Well, I will tell you, on that particular story, their plan A was, we're going to stay here, we're going to age in place, everything's going to work great. And all of a sudden it turned to a plan B. Not only are we moving, we didn't get to pick where we're going to go. Our family, who cares for us, did that. And I will tell you that within 6 months' time, that villa that they moved into, they didn't get to stay in. They're both in memory care. And this happened over about 1.5 years' time. So having that backup plan really makes a difference, and having that communication really makes a difference. And I wanted to share that with you. I have another I'll share with you later. So let's talk about our next slide here. This is in your handout. And I know that a lot of you have seen this slide, and Debbie printed it for you so that we could actually use this as our visual aid to share the different styles of living with the experts that we have here today. What's important to know about this is that I think everyone here would agree, senior living today is nothing like it was for our grandparents. There were not the kind of options that were out there. There weren't homes that were built to accommodate people that want to be in a smaller home with a zero lot line or a patio home. There wasn't a place where someone could go and say, I don't want to mow the lawn anymore, I'm done with all that, I want to travel. There wasn't a place that they could go and everything was provided. There were very few choices, but all of that has changed. And I will say this, builders today are going crazy with how do I provide all the amenities that our larger audience of older adults need right now. So let's take a look at some of these things. So the first place that we're going to go is I'm going to talk with Paige as well as Tony, and I'm going to ask them just a few questions because I've got more to go before we get to the end of your part of that. But you know, Tony, tell me this. What's the difference? For me personally, let me just be honest about it. Until I got to know all of you in the circles that I've learned to run with, I really didn't know there was a difference between home health and home care. I thought it was all the same thing. So what's different?
So I like to say I'm the cheap date of the two of us. Home health is paid for by Medicare or the replacement plan. So we are a free service that you have paid for into your accounts, and we are provided to you through those services. So it is free for me to send out a nurse, a social worker, a physical therapist, an occupational therapist, a speech therapist, and a home health aide. So we can come into the home for $0 to you on most cases. Some plans do have a small copay, but that is something that we always talk to you guys about beforehand. And then our hospice umbrella also, that is paid for by Medicare, so you guys don't have anything to worry about with that one either.
Okay, great. How about you, Paige?
And then home care, I am a little more expensive. We accept long-term care insurance, so those of you that do have a long-term care insurance policy, that does pay for caregivers in the home. We are VA approved, so if you are a veteran, there is a homemaker benefit that helps pay for some of that. And then private pay, and the average DFW rate is around $35 to $36 per hour to pay for in-home care. And it is like a 4-hour time period if you're living in a residential place. You have to at least have a caregiver come in for 4 hours. And then a big difference between home health and home care is home health is an order given by a doctor for medical benefits, and home care is your decision when you need a little extra help at home, and you choose how much you can afford or how much care that you need in the home.
Okay, so I have another question for you, Paige. When somebody decides that they really need home health, it would be a great benefit for them to have somebody come and help them a little bit. How flexible are your plans? Can people be on a plan and come off a plan, or decide they want to start with more now and less later? How does that look?
So you said home health, which is the common misconception.
Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you.
No, it was perfect. I think you did it on purpose. People confuse home health and home care so frequently. Paige and I shouldn't sit together so you can understand. But for home health, it is a predetermined amount of time. We are decided by that Medicare plan. They tell us how we can provide care. So the doctor writes the order, we go to the doctor and say, this patient needs nursing this many times a week, they need physical therapy this many times a week, and the insurance says, yes, I agree with you, or we need to back that down. And then our services are also short term. So think about, I just had a knee replacement. You're gonna come home on home health, you're typically gonna see your home health staff for about a month. We're usually a short-term benefit. That doesn't mean that there aren't people that stay on longer, but our average length of stay is about 42 days. So we're short and we're free.
Okay.
And I'm tall and expensive.
We're trying to make you get it.
So home care, there is no limit on length of stay. It's a decision made by you and your family and what you think need. We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary. We're a family operated business, and we have some clients that have been with us from the beginning. So some 10 years, our average length of stay is around 2 years.
Oh, great. Okay, so while you have the microphone, what are some of the misconceptions about home care?
I think people at the beginning are a little afraid to have a stranger in their home. A lot of times we introduce it like this is a personal assistant for you, and after the first shift of having help, whether it is help with a bath with somebody that just had a surgery, or help with meal preparation, the caregivers become like one of the family. Like, I can't believe I did this without you. Like, thank you for helping. And some people have families that help with some of those things, and a lot of our clients say it's so much easier to have a professional do it than to have to rely on my family to support that part of the care.
That's true. And so, you know, I had mentioned several times, so my mother lived in New Mexico, and when she started getting ill, before it got to a place where we needed to have more dramatic care for her, it was nice for us to have somebody come in and do home care with her, because she was by herself at that point. My stepdad had passed, and she had somebody that would come in and help her with she had macular degeneration, so she couldn't see very well. She'd have somebody help her come in with laundry, never meal prep, because that was like her thing. She didn't want anybody touching any of that. But take her to her hairdresser, get her nails, pedicures, things like that. That was super helpful. And for us, living here with her being there, it was really comforting to know that she was being taken care of and that she was happy with it. I will say that sometimes people are a little bit put off by, I don't want a stranger in my house. So that's kind of off the side, not a question we really planned on, but how do you handle that? If you're going to visit with somebody for home care and they say, well, I don't want anybody in my house, or I want to pick the person that's going to be there, how do you do that?
Yeah, it comes up a lot, and it's just like when you are choosing, you used an example about the hairdresser earlier. When you're choosing a hairdresser, you don't necessarily have to keep the first one that you like. You may not like her if she did my hair awful. Choose another one, and that's how it is with caregiving. It's working with people. We have the option in home care of having many caregivers to choose from, so we match you based on an assessment. We go into your home, do an assessment, spend an hour with you, and then determine the caregiver based on what your needs are. So the first one may not be your best friend, and the second
And there's probably many ways that people your caregivers are reporting their day, what it looked like.
They have to clock in. We're licensed by the state of Texas, so it's not just we're throwing strangers at you. We're insured and licensed, and our caregivers have to be trained, and they have to document in a software that what tasks that they completed. Yes, ma'am.
So I have a friend whose wife is in hospice, but he's already fired the hospice people. So your company does hospice as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Yours?
Mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can give you a card. We would love to talk. Yeah, and you can definitely switch. We'll hit that later, so I'll let Ingrid get to the question. But
Thank you.
yes.
Thank you. Appreciate that. One last thing. So Tony said she's free and cheap. You didn't say cheap. You
I
said
did.
free.
I'm not Dolly Parton over here. I'm not that cute.
And Paige said she was tall and expensive. So Paige, what would somebody pay, just kind of generally, if they wanted to have somebody come in?
Yeah, I did mention the average rate in Dallas-Fort Worth is $35 an hour. So the long-term care insurance policies are phenomenal. If you have those, they usually have a amount per day that you can spend. With those, we have veterans benefits also, so I would say just reach out to myself or Alex and we can walk through the expense with you. And it's up to you how much you want to spend.
That's great. That's super. All right, moving right along. So now what we're going to do.
Ingrid, hold on. You didn't ask about my misconceptions, and there's a big one.
Okay, tell us.
Okay, so for home health, we worry, we find that families worry, or even the patient worries that I'm a hoarder, or I have a dog, or mom doesn't keep her house very clean. What is that gonna look like? What I want y'all to know is that our clinicians, it takes a very special person to be a home health clinician. Those nurses and therapists have done it usually for 100 years because it is their passion, it's what they love. They've seen everything under the sun, so that is not a reason that you need to worry. I have a patient that was installing a door last week so that we can admit her father-in-law because they have a pit bull. I mean, we can work through anything, so don't ever let that be the barrier. I understand letting a stranger into your home is scary, but we need therapy and we need nursing, so know that they've seen it. We've seen it all. The other one, real quick funny story, I interviewed a gentleman, actually he interviewed me, about our home health services. We talked for 30 minutes about what kind of care I was going to provide, how often we would be there, all the good stuff. At the end he said, ma'am, we have talked for 30 minutes and you do home health. And I said, yes sir. And he said, not once have you talked to me about the health of my home. What about my shingles and what about my paint? And I said, oh, we need to call a contractor.
That's good, that's great. Thanks very much. All right, let's go ahead and move forward. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about age or adult living. We're all adults, active adult. So what I'd like to do first is I'd like to actually talk to Scott about this. Scott is new. A lot of you haven't seen him this year, but he's new to our education partners. So we haven't really had a chance to get to know you as well. This is not your debut, just so you know.
Okay.
But I want to make sure that I want you to talk a little bit more about what is it about an active adult community that makes a backup plan look so inviting?
So I started working in this active adult community about a year ago, and when I came in there, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm going to the old folks home. What a misconception that was in my world. What I realized and what is so intriguing about our community, and what I love the most about our community, is the interactions that you guys have with each other. The groups that y'all formed, the camaraderie that y'all formed. And what is so wonderful about our community that I'm finding out that I love to sell to and talk to people about is we have a full-time activities coordinator. And what I like to say, if there's an activity you like to belong to, they either have a club for it already or they'll form one for you. One of those clubs is our Helping Hands clubs. We have Helping Hands clubs, so if somebody's sick, all of a sudden they start a food train. The other thing is all of the assets that you have at your disposal. A lot of people, if you're having issues, you need home health or home care, they have somebody that they've worked with, they can give you a recommendation. Now these ladies are probably more better.
More better.
but it's the idea of having those instant resources right there around you. People that are going through it, that have gone through it, or will need to be going through it. That is what is so wonderful about our active adult community.
Right. And just to be fair, because we always want to share all kinds of information with you, Scott's community is really beautiful. We actually have familiarity with it. A lot of you that have been with us over the years, we used to be out at the Viridian, and his community is out at the Viridian. But I will tell you that there are lots of active adult neighborhoods within the Metroplex, in addition to the one that Scott's representing today. So what he's talking about may also be the case in other neighborhoods. Maybe not so much, but yes.
Actually, so as part of my job is I go visit these other communities, so I know what I'm selling and who I'm selling against. And yes, most of these communities have a very, very vibrant community is with them, because people are coming there because they want to be with their peers. They've kicked their kids out, they're done with their kids. They want to enjoy their season of life, and that's what they're coming for.
And I think that kind of falls into my next question. You've talked a lot about the things that people can do, the things that people can add. What particular, what's one thing in particular that makes an active adult neighborhood different from a traditional neighborhood?
Really, the big thing is the camaraderie. Everybody's in the same season of their life. They have their freedom now. They want to enjoy themselves. So really, with the amenity center across the street, I see parties going on all the time. And it's the simple parties, it's the card games, all the way up to the Olympics events that we have. It's people enjoying their lives.
And I do think it's also age restricted.
It is. So in our particular environment, one person has to be 55 or older to live in the home. Nobody under 30 can live with you. Grandchildren can visit for 28 calendar days a year, so they can come enough for the weekends and then get out. At the amenity center, nobody under 21 is allowed. So you guys have been with your children, and if you want to go see your grandchildren, that's great, just not in our community for long times.
That's good. And as far as the amenities center is concerned, I'm sure there's days where it could be a grandchildren's day where they could come and enjoy the pool and that kind of thing, yes?
In our community, no.
Okay.
In our community, their grandchildren are not allowed in the amenity center, which is associated with our particular establishment. But within our master plan community, there are 3 other amenity centers that you can walk to and take your grandchildren to, which is less than a mile from where you're home.
Right. In his community, the active adult part of the community, they have access to the entire master plan
The
community.
master plan community, yes.
Whereas the master plan community does not have access to the active adult. So it is nice because you do have that flexibility. All right, well, let's go ahead and move on to Ashley. So Ashley, I am wanting to find out from you a couple of different things. You're dealing more with condos, apartments. So tell us what makes your location, your type of senior living different from multi-generational.
Absolutely. So the main thing is age restriction. So my community is a 62 and over community, so nobody under the age of 62 is allowed to live in the community, as opposed to a multi-family, multi-generational. Those are all ages, so anybody, any age can live at that community. So like his community, you're going to be with nothing but all of your peers, people that are around the same age as you inside the active adult apartment community. That would be the main difference between anything else.
Okay. So I have another question about your community. So how do residents living in your community, if there's a health crisis arrive, like a surgery, let's say a hip or a knee replacement, and they're in a high-rise, how does that work?
So most of those have elevators, so getting around is a little bit easier, but also too, you would then be able to connect with this lovely lady, and she would be able to identify the specific services and things that you need to be able to come back to your home at our community and still get the care and the services that you need to help you fully recover.
Okay, so I'm thinking about someone that we both have worked with in the past, Pat. At the time that she was concerned about getting a hip replacement, she was looking at, is there another community that she could respite at and then come back to you? So do you have relationships with other communities for that purpose?
Yes, yeah, we, at our community, we love to identify and partner with any of services such as these that anyone may need in your home, no matter what happens to you. We work to identify all of those for you so that we can say, we've met these people, we know they're wonderful, here's their contact information, we've already told them about you and that we've referred you, and then you'll be able to make any decisions, make any choices on what services you need and want.
What do you, with the different communities that you've worked with, because the one you're in right now is so new, what's one of the oldest residents that you've had in your active 55?
92.
92. 92.
And she
So-
got around without a walker, was always at every single event.
So one of the other things that I want to get to, because Pam's gonna, I've got several questions for her when we get into some of these other bars. You're in an active adult community. What are some of the things that make your community different from what Pam might have to offer as far as services and amenities outside of home care and home health?
So our overall most important thing for us is how can we create a community that you live at that brings you back to all the things that you want to do in life. So what I mean is lock and leave lifestyle. You can lock your door, go on vacation, and not have to worry about anything inside your home, maintenance, upkeep, any of that. If something breaks while you're gone, we'll fix it, we replace it. You don't have to worry. You don't have to come back from your vacation early. We want you to get back to enjoying all of the things that you love to do in your life. So we do have the activities and events portion. So just like he has, pretty much majority of all active adult apartment communities have a full-time lifestyle coordinator. And what that lifestyle coordinator does is create a beautiful calendar that is full of activities and events that you all like to do. So we don't like to tell you what you are going to do daily, weekly, monthly. We rely heavily on your input about what it is, what are the things that you like to do, and what clubs, activities, and events would you like to see. And so that means we're not always in our community doing everything at the community. Sometimes we will charter a bus and take a trip to the casino. Sometimes we will charter another kind of bus and take you, maybe, we're not close to an HEB. We'll take you to an HEB to get you some groceries that you need or things like that. So we just really focus on you getting back to all of the things that you love to do and really living your life.
Right. And one of the other things that I think makes you different that I want to make sure is important is you are a pretty much senior apartment building with a full service apartment, but what you don't have is people are not going to be going for breakfast and lunch or dinner in your community.
Correct.
There is no food, they do not serve food there. Because in most cases, you probably are still wanting to do your own thing, cook for yourself or go out. Would you agree?
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
the same thing with Scott, yeah.
Yeah, and like Ingrid said, you have full kitchen, so it's a fully functioning. You have laundry, dishwasher, washer, dryer,
Really great.
stove, oven, microwave. But if you want services to come in that provide those things for you, we will absolutely make that happen and connect with you and see how we can facilitate
Right.
that for you.
I mean, it's not uncommon to walk into a community like hers where they're having some kind of an event, whether it's a cooking demonstration or everybody's bringing their crock pots down because it's football time, that kind of thing. But there isn't going to be a menu to pick from, right?
Correct.
Okay, great, thank you.
What would
All
be
right.
the name of a place like that? I mean, just.
Well, we'll answer, if
visualize
you'll make a note of that, we'll answer that question here just a little bit, please. All right. Some other things that I want to go through now. Pam has been so patient. I've got a big piece for her to talk to us about, all different types of senior living. And I've got some great questions that are going to be for her. First of all, I was kind of leading Ashley to a place where I wanted you to be able to define. We've got 3 colored bars up here, the most common that we're going to talk about today. We have independent living, we have assisted living, and we have memory care. And Pam, what about the independent living makes that different? Because I know that you've worked for all different types of senior living. Talk.
Sure. So independent living, I teasingly describe it as a docked cruise ship. So you have your fully functional apartment, you have full kitchen, but you can think of it as a little bit like an all-inclusive. You have a points package or meal package. You have restaurants to choose from. We have breakfast, lunch, dinner options, bistro, quick grab and go, those types of things. You certainly have the activities similar to what Ashley was talking about. We have a lifestyle director. We also have a lot of amenities. So we have a pool, we have a fitness center, we do wellness programming. We take care of all your interior and exterior maintenance. Again, very similar. We provide weekly housekeeping. How great would it be to have a housekeeper come in once a week and tidy up for you? I know I would love to have one. So, when you think about independent living, it's all those things. It helps take a lot of the worry and burden away from maintaining your home if you want to get out of that. You can also, like she said, if you want to go on vacation, right, you kind of close the door and go. Right, and everything will be taken care of, and we'll be there when you get back. So that's how I kind of describe independent living.
Well, I know that when my mother-in-law moved to independent and she started out at a Brookdale community, one of the things that was really good for us that we enjoyed is the security part of that. Because there's a certain amount of time, certain times of the day that people can come and go. I know when I go to Pam's community, I have to sign in to be there because they want to know who's in our building at this time. And there's probably a certain time of day that people are not just coming and going, that the doors are locking, right?
Correct. So our community is actually gated, and so the front gates are open kind of during business hours, like 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. Other than that, then that gate is closed, and there's a call box. So certainly residents have access to come and go, as they feel free. But you have to get checked in. Then you also do check in at the desk. There's something called AccuShield that we kind of track everyone that comes in the community. And then at night we also have a courtesy officer on duty for 12 hours. So not only could they respond to an emergency pull cord that might go off in one of the apartments if someone needed assistance, but they're also out on the golf cart driving around just checking things out.
That's great. And at her community, and I'm sure that Ashley probably has something as well, they have, now I've lost what I want to say, you can plug your electric car in.
EV charging.
EV chargers.
Yes,
Yes,
EV
there are a
charging.
couple of those as well.
Yeah, I've noticed a couple of those, because one of my past clients that lives there has one of those vehicles. Okay, so now we want to move from the independent living, and we're talking about now assisted living. What makes those two different?
So the main difference between independent living and assisted living is that assisted living, you have a healthcare team on staff around the clock to help you through your day based on what needs you might have. It might be that you need help with managing your medication. It might be activities of daily living, and that means getting assistance with getting dressed, bathing, grooming, those sorts of things. All of your meals are provided for you. Snacks are provided for you. Your apartment is going to be smaller because sometimes as we age, having a smaller environment, you actually become more independent, in those environments. And you also have a nurse, right? So we have CNAs and we have nurses. So you have a healthcare team that is supporting you.
You mentioned meals earlier, so is there a difference for meals in independent versus assisted? I think you said all your meals, so what does that mean, all?
All your meals. So we provide breakfast, lunch, and dinner automatically. That comes as a part of your monthly service fee, and at Stevenson Oaks, it all comes out of the same kitchen. So I know sometimes folks say, oh gosh, healthcare food. Right? It's kind of like hospital food, but it all comes out of the same kitchen, and we try to carry over many similar items for our healthcare folks to choose from.
And then when it comes to benefits on the independent side, typically that's private pay.
Correct.
And it is also the same for assisted living, but what else? What are some of the other benefits that go with that?
Sure. So benefits for independent living, I'm sorry.
For assisted.
Assisted living. So other things for assisted living, you're also going to have lifestyles, activities, programs. We take folks on outings. She talked about it being private pay, but we also talked about having long-term care insurance, so that's something that can help you pay those costs as well. You know, the other piece with assisted living in our community, and this might be getting a little ahead in the questions, but in our community and in other CCRCs, in some cases, contracts are different, but there's also a discount. If you come into independent living and then you transition to assisted living, you have a discount on that monthly service fee. So you're actually able to better plan for healthcare costs down the road, so you pay less than someone come in directly from the community.
And that is good. And we are going that direction. The only other thing that I wanted to ask before we got to the gold bar down here on the bottom is, when does somebody know when it might be time for them to transition from the independent side to the assisted side? And let me just make one comment about that. As you're looking at, let's say you're just looking at independent living, you don't know much about the next type of senior living that we're going to talk about. Here's some questions that have come up for me this week. I'm actually going to be addressing that again tomorrow morning with a client or a prospect for me. If we move to independent living and we can't stay there, time comes we're going to have to move. If we move to this location, what happens when we need to go to assisted living? Can they help us there, or do we need to move again? So that's something that's going to be super important for you to be thinking about, because you know it would be great if you could stay in active 55 for 90 some years. Not 90 years, but you know what I'm saying. But if you're going to be making a move, then you want to look at, am I just moving down the hallway to the building right next door, but all of the new friends that I've made are going to be here, or am I leaving that location and going to a different one? That's going to be really important to keep in mind. Hold your question for just a minute, please. Okay, so that's something that we want to be thinking about when it comes to the setup of the community. So when the question was, how does somebody know when it's time to move on? Go ahead.
Okay, so when is it time to move from independent living to assisted living? Well, I will tell you that's very individualized, because there are a lot of options to help support you in independent living. So things that I really think about are safety and dignity. If safety and dignity become a concern in independent living, then it may be time to move to assisted living. Some of those things can be mitigated with the support of our home care partners. Let's think about that for a second, home care partners, right? So they could come in, provide some private duty services to help you get over that hump for a period of time. Maybe it's something that's more short-term illness driven and you might need certified home health to come in. We also have therapy services, so PT, OT, speech available in the community. So I would tell you that it's very individualized. A lot of times if you're a couple, you have a great advantage, because maybe where someone is a little more challenged, the other one, comes together and you help support each other just like you did at home. So I will tell you that it's never a, Pam, go up and knock on your door and say, okay, time to go, time to pack your bags. Right. It's always a conversation. It's a conversation with you, perhaps your family or friends, whoever that you have designated, and then working through that. So, but those are some indicators. I mean, truly when it's safety and dignity, that's when my little radar goes off.
Well, and it would be the same thing for memory care. Having those services right there is always helpful.
Correct. So memory care is essentially assisted living. Staffing levels are a little bit different because that's specialized for those with Alzheimer's, dementias, things like that with memory loss.
Okay, well let's go ahead and move on then to this big gold bar on the bottom. This is something that we talk about, but we don't talk about in length, and I thought it was perfect to have Pam here today. Number one, because they're education partners of us, but I've learned so much from her community that I felt it would be really great for her to share that with you. So, we have this labeled as continuum of care or life care community. I'm going to want you to tell us the difference between the two, but would it be okay if we said CCRC?
CCRC.
It's a shorter way to say it. Continuing Care Retirement Community. So tell us, what's the difference between life care and continuing care versus what you just explained for the others?
Sure. So A CCRC, right, your continuing care, means that you have multiple levels within a campus. Perhaps it's all in one attached building. So you have independent living, you have assisted living, and you have memory care. In some cases, as Stevenson notes, currently we don't have skilled nursing, but sometimes that is also a part of that continuing care piece. You know, life care is more of a contract piece. So when we get to the question about pricing and how that works, there are many different contracts and options when you start to explore CCRCs. So that's where that would come in.
Okay, all right. Well, let's go ahead and talk about that. So, you know, one of the things that you find, and I think it's with any community, even at the Viridian, at the Elements, Encore, there are move-in, there's a fee to be a part of their community. So while we're talking with you, talk to us a little bit, Pam, about the fees, because I know Ashley has them, I know Scott has them. How does that work?
So this one's a little bit to unpack. So CCRCs, first up, you have two options. You either have a rental community, and that's just what you think, right? You're gonna have probably a year lease. You may have a community fee going in that may vary from community to community, and you pay that rent each month. Or you have the option of an entry fee community, and that's very different. So on an entry fee, you're making an investment kind of in the community. So your entry fees, again, depending on community, it may be $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. You can, depending on the campus, the numbers can keep going. But the key piece of that is that there's a refundability portion to you. So again, different contracts, different communities, it could be an 85% refundable should you leave the community or pass away. It could be 45, it could be 0. But then if it's the less the refundability, the lower the price is. So that's that entry fee piece. So sometimes people get really taken back when they hear that number and they're like, what? I'm gonna give you how much of my money to do that? And we do that all the time. But if you really sit with someone and do the math and you think how much you're spending in rent month over month over month, and like a nice high-end rental compared to what a monthly service fee would be, and we'll talk about that in a minute, at a CCRC, it's actually gonna be less money in the end. So ask somebody to do the math, so don't let that be taken from you. The other piece you're gonna have is a monthly service fee, or again, kind of your rent. And like I mentioned earlier about it being an all-inclusive, right? So you have your meal package, you get the lifestyle, you get all the amenities, you get the housekeeping, you get the maintenance, and then you pay that on a monthly basis. The other thing financially I would add for your awareness, Stevenson Oaks is this way, and I know there are some other communities this way as well, is that it can be a home for life. And I mean that because should you run out of money through no fault of your own, meaning we're not gonna go gamble it all away and we're not gonna go gift it to all our family members, should you truly just outlive your money, you will not be asked to leave. And so that's another added benefit and security piece for yourself and for your families.
And there's a difference. There's a profit and not-for-profit, right?
Right, there are for-profit communities and not-for-profit communities. That's correct. So there are lots of options, just ask questions.
And I think that's super important, and that was why I wanted to get into that today, because as you're looking at your Plan B, you want to know, and I was at a meeting this morning at Stevenson Oaks learning more about their community because I feel it's important. I'm very curious about what they have to offer. But as you start to interview or take a look at what's out there for me, when the time comes, what will I do? What do I need? Those are the kinds of things you want to be asking about monies that are going to be invested, and especially when you're looking at where am I going to get that to make that happen. So you're going to write that down. We're going to look at something else here shortly. The last thing that I want to know is just real briefly, Pam, because you've got a lot that you can share, and I would encourage you to get her card and ask more questions because it's quite detailed but worthwhile knowing, is how does somebody decide what happens when somebody wants to evaluate what kind of community they just want to go to independent, Or would it be better for them to look at a CCRC? How do they evaluate that?
So, one thing that ultimately comes down, and we've all kind of talked about how we have fees and costs. So there may be a financial piece of making that decision, so gathering, that information. But the other thing I think is important is to visit multiple communities. Get the feel, look and compare the option, ask the hard questions, right? Well, tell me that, Stevenson Oaks tells me this, but you're offering me, XYZ, what does that look like? Have a meal there if they have dining services. Try meals. Come to different events. Just like you come to this event, a lot of our communities offer all sorts of events. One that's a favorite is resident panel discussion. So you'll hear directly from our residents about their experience and you can ask them questions. We match folks up that have similar interests and we'll let you have lunch or dinner with them, and the sales team's gonna step away. So you can have those very honest conversations and ask any of those particular questions you might want to know if you feel like, gosh, I don't want a salesperson there, but I want to ask those questions. If someone is serious, the other thing we do offer also is something we call a staycation. So you could come and stay for a night or two in one of our apartments and get a real feel for what the community's like. Try out the pool, try out the fitness center, come to an event, have dinner. Those sorts of things. So you get a little bit of a trial, if you will, if someone was very much interested. But what I say is go and look. When you walk into a community, you're gonna get a feeling, you're gonna get a sense, and come back multiple times. I would encourage that.
And I think you've heard me tell you that in the past. When you walk into a place and you say, oh, this feels like me, that's really what you're looking for. And the ability to do a staycation, not every community out there has a guest apartment that they could actually do that. But having that, and I guess I would say one other thing for you, so those of you that have family members that don't live close, another advantage is looking at a retirement community that has guest apartments, because those might be available for that family to come to and stay in during Christmas or the holidays. Yes?
Yeah, so we actually have 2 guest apartments, so those can be reserved. But when you come and stay with us, you're actually in an apartment that a resident would live in.
That's right. That's right. So there is a difference. Good.
There is a difference.
Okay, great. All right. So planning across all options. So we've learned a lot from these people. How many of you have learned something today from them that you didn't know before you came? Okay, that's always the goal. That's what we want. So, we've talked earlier about common myths and misconceptions that people have about the services. We're kind of running a little bit tight on our time. So what's the short answer to that, Tony? What's a misconception that somebody might have about a service like yours? A myth or a misconception?
I think we should ask the crowd.
I'm sorry?
What is y'all's misconception about home health at this point? I've done a lot of teaching today, so if you remember one thing that I said today, what is it?
Free.
Thank you. I thought somebody was going to yell cheap since that's what Ingrid said, but I appreciate free.
Okay, great. What about you, Paige?
Probably common misconception is that other people are choosing it for you when it needs to be your decision on what the type of care you get at home and who the caregiver is.
It's a nursing home. It is so not. It is so much more. It is a
That's so
vibrant
good.
community.
That is so good.
That it's an apartment community and that it's just going to be full of all ages, but it will not be.
It's a big hassle to move, which is true, but we try to make it easier.
Yeah, I think so too. And I would add to yours that people say, oh gosh, it's too expensive. But when you think about what would it take to make my house, retrofit my house to age in place, is it too expensive? Something to think about. So, realistic first steps for those people that are wanting to stay age in place. So that's just really addressed to the two of you. What's your short answer on that?
Talk to your doctor, ask who they prefer, get some options, but most importantly, talk to your friends and family. I guarantee you, word of mouth is going to make the most difference. They know you, they know the clinicians that they've seen, and they know how you're going to react to them. For you, I'd love to talk to you afterwards. I know you've had a unfortunate experience with hospice, and like Paige said, sometimes you have to try on a couple shoes, right? You got to find the one that fits, and that's really important, especially in healthcare.
If you look at the back of your handout that identifies all the communities, one of the things that we put on the back for you is the top 10 questions that people ask when they're interviewing a retirement community. And actually in the book, and some of you, many of you here have won the book in our drawing, we've got 72 questions. But I'm sure that you would not make an appointment with Pam and ask her all 72 questions. But there's a variety there because, again, it's a big decision. So have a look at that and write in some of your questions as you start to do what we like to say, be curious and go look to see what's out there. How are the different services and how they work together? I think everybody that's here has said we offer similar services. For example, with Paige and Tony, Pam, Ashley, and Scott all have the ability to offer home care and home health to you. There are some variations when it comes to what can you do at certain communities, but for the most part, their services are all across the board, which I think is really great, because I have heard in the past, it's been a year or so ago, that their services were not allowed in an active 55 building because they don't want people getting those kinds of services there because people feel like we don't need that yet. So it's nice to know that you can get that. Planning ahead supports your peace of mind. So here we're just looking at lots of different types of communities, but planning ahead. So if you haven't considered, well, maybe I want another home first. People say I want one more small home before I move to an apartment. You might go out and take a look at some of those communities. Take a look at the community where Scott is. It's wonderful to walk through there and see what they've done with the open concept that they have for people that are wanting to age in place. You know, instead of having all of the living room in one room and the den over here, and it's put together well. So I would encourage you to go and take a look at those things. Here's what I'd like for you to pull out of your handout that Debbie has put in there for you. As you know, we belong to a large group of professionals that have a similar business model to ours, and they shared this with us. This is a document that I think really, here's what I think you should make a copy of it so that you have more than one version of it, because it's your backup plan. So if you look at that copy, the very first page talks about my living arrangement wishes. And I know that we've discussed this on different occasions on communicating with your friends and your loved ones. But what this does for us is it gives you an opportunity to do just as it says here. I've outlined my wishes in regard to current and future living arrangements below. I'm providing this information to you in the event that you are called upon or otherwise tasked to assist in my way. It's my hope that providing you with this information, you will be equipped to assist me and that you will understand my goals and my wishes. That's really important. If you don't tell people, they can't do what you want. So keeping that in mind while you're lively today and you can talk about it and share information, that's when you fill this out. Versus when you can't say anything and now your family and friends are going to knock themselves out to try to make you happy, but they didn't know what you wanted. So like the first part of this, is, as you're looking at this, Plan A, stay in my current residence until I can no longer manage where I am and if I find it necessary to move. That's my Plan B. Here's another one on there. A unit meeting when my needs become available. I want everybody to meet with me when my needs become available. My pre-selected unit, this is what I want the setup of my apartment, my home, when I need to make a change. My pre-selected unit is completed at which time? So let's say that Scott's building a home for you, and it's not going to be ready for 6 months. Or I'm trying to move into a community that these two offer, but I'm on the wait list. You know, that's the kind of information we're looking for. If support is needed, then we're talking about some other things. If I require assistance, but I'm still able to live independently, I prefer to explore home care services. And these are the people that I want you to call. This is the company I'm interested in. This is the contact that I want you to talk to. Home health services. Who are the different companies that I've researched, and here's the phone numbers for the individuals that I'd like you to contact on my behalf. If a move is required unexpectedly, plan B, right? So now what we're saying is, should my plans outlined above no longer be feasible due to an accident, illness, or other reasons, I have selected the following option for my residential living arrangements. This is so helpful to people that want to care for you. I ask that anyone assisting me do their best to honor my wishes until such time it is not feasible either physically or financially. And then you look at, there's some questions there for you. If I require household support but do qualify to live independently, I have pre-selected the following communities, just like Pam said and Ashley said. Go look to see what's out there. Because you visit them, you know which ones feel really good. These are the ones that you want your loved ones to consider for you because you've gone and done the research for them. If I require health care and or memory support and qualify to live in an assisted living, because like Pam said, not everybody that has memory issues, especially in the beginning, has to move to memory care. If I require assisted living, I have pre-selected the following communities. Again, here's more information that you can share with them. If I require health care support, but do not, so this is on the bottom of your second page, qualify to live in assisted living, requiring more help and affordability, I have pre-selected the following communities listed in the order of preference. This is what I'd like to do. And there you're going to be researching when it comes down to affordability, keeping in mind there is also low-income housing for seniors. That doesn't mean it's going to be an icky old apartment, but there are different levels that are available out there, and there need to be today. And then we have this one. So if my circumstances were to change, requiring me to need more support than can be provided in my current home or my apartment, here's my criteria. Criteria for assisted living, criteria that's high priority, low priority. The criteria I have if I'm needing memory care, the high priority, low priority. And then the last one down here for long-term nursing care, skilled nursing or long-term nursing care. Writing those things down are so helpful. And I would think it would also ease the stress that you have about, I don't know what to do. I wasn't planning on any of this now. I'm great, I'm healthy. What am I going to do about this? And then the last one here that we have is the real estate part of it. The real estate, the move, the estate liquidation, we've talked about that a number of times. Everyone here knows that we have a full service. This morning when I was at Pam's community, they said Ingrid Sullivan's the easy button. I was like, well, not exactly, but we have built services to help you with these things that are going to be super important. When the time comes that I need to sell my home, I've interviewed this brokerage and this real estate agent that I'm interested in helping you with my asset. A professional move manager. Of course, I'm going to need somebody to help me pack and move. And then some of the other things, senior living community locators. So those are people that have services where if you were to call and say, I need to make a move, I don't know anything about this, I'm not working with anybody, they're going to help you find the right location, the right community for you. That's called a senior living locator. And other things that we have here, estate liquidation, house cleaner, yard service, pool service, all of these things. For a lot of people, one thing for sure that you want to make sure that you have noted, I think we've talked about this before, in a lot of cases it's all about the money. These are all the things I want to be able to do, but do I have the money to do that? So if you have a financial advisor or CPA that you're working with, talk about it. This is the age I am today. This is what I'm thinking. Can I afford to do that? because I would think in some cases, one of the biggest stop signs for a lot of people is their financial advisor may say, no, you can't do it. Because they don't want to stop working on your investments. But there are other ways to do that, so you want to research those things with your financial advisor. And then there's other things as well. But what's important here is for you to keep in mind, this is your guide. Over the years, we've had some people come to us that have attended our seminars, and a couple come to mind that have just recently had some illnesses that have said, I've made a list, I've shared it with my family, I've talked to our attorney, and I've let them know that if something happens to me, I want you to take care of these things. That's not what I'm asking for today, but I'm saying that's planning. So you want to take the time to do those things. And then maybe take this, once you've filled it out, now that it's fresh in your mind, Pat, I want you to fill it out, make a copy of it. Maybe you take one of the copies and you put it in your desk in an envelope for your family. You take another copy and you take it to your safe deposit box, because that's where all the other stuff's going to be, right? And then you share it with your children or your best friend, the people that are taking care of you. That makes a difference in what's going to be happening going forward for you. So one more story, and this is real recent. At another seminar that I did within the last couple of months, I had somebody come to me that said, I need to know more about senior living. Can you help me with that? And I said, well, yes, let's talk about it. So I went to meet with her. Typically, when I go on a consultation with somebody, it's usually about 2 hours, because we have a lot to talk about. What are we going to do? What do you think about the house? That kind of thing. This was a 5-hour appointment, a long appointment, and here's why. This person had a very serious illness that just occurred. And so one of the questions that she had was, should I stay here because I have a whole bunch of friends that I know are going to look after me just in case something happens? Should I stay close to my friends? Or should I move across country and go and stay with my family? I said, well, I don't know any of the dynamics here, but let me ask you a question. What's your relationship with your family? Well, we don't really talk much. We haven't really done anything much. And I said, you have to think about this. Are your friends going to be there for you the whole time, or will they be there for you the best they can, but maybe not to the end? And what about your family? What do you think? Well, I know my brothers. I've got 2 brothers that are really close to me. So our decision was, we're not doing nothing here today. You need to get on a plane. You need to go east, get with your family, and share with them what's going on with you and what are your wishes. Well, here's what happened. Of course, we prayed about it. I really wanted the best outcome for her. She went to be with her family. 2 of her brothers picked her up. One of the sisters she hadn't spoken to in years was right there with her, and they all went and found the perfect condo. Actually, it wasn't that, it was a villa on a lake where she's going to be moving. The family took her to the furniture store the next day. I'm getting text messages like crazy about all this. And they bought the perfect furniture for her new villa while she was there. She was close to all the things that were important to her, church, shopping, etc. And she signed the contract, had everything in place, and started paying rent while we're still here trying to figure out what's happening. So the plan A of, I'm going to stay here and hope I get well with my friends, changed to plan B, being with my family. That's now plan A, and then here we are now. So we've just had the estate sale. We have the repairman coming in tomorrow. We're going to be getting the house ready and staged to go on the market, so that now the plan has changed to do what we can do here, to send all of those blessings to that person on the other side of the country. But that plan changed in a week. So be thinking about those things. That's super important. I feel blessed that I had an opportunity to work through this thus far with this woman. So action steps for you on your backup plan. Visit neighborhoods, communities, and see what's out there. It's nice outside now. Be curious. Everybody's going to welcome you and show you what they have to offer. Talk to a real estate professional about your selling options. So you may be thinking, I'm not going anywhere today, why would I even do that? I have a Downsizers Club that meets right now, and one of the things that we're going to be doing at the end of the month is we've got a home inspector coming in that's just going to talk to us about what are important things that I need to make my house in good shape in the event I decide to sell it. There's nothing there that says we're selling it tomorrow, but it's good to know what's going to happen in that case. And then we're looking at here, create your backup plan. Use this document that Debbie put together for you, make copies of it, share it with the important people in your family. So closing thoughts today. Best case scenario, you never need to use it. Wouldn't that be awesome? We learned a lot today. We could share everything we know with our friends, but we never have to use it. Or it's going to bring you peace of mind because now we got a plan. Okay, let's do this. While it's on our mind, let's sit down and let's put this together. Makes things easier for you and especially for your family in the future. And we all want that. We don't want a last minute, oh, this is what happened. Walt Disney. The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. And I will say, Debbie and I were laughing about this the other day. When we have our huddles during the year, where we're doing business planning for next year, we talk about, oh, I want to do this, and wouldn't it be great if we could get that, and let's buy this, and let's have this for next year. We've kind of got stuck with a lot of talking, but not a lot of doing. But it's important when it comes to our backup plan that we stop talking about it and do it. Don't you agree? So, last but not least, in your handout, I had the opportunity to do a interview for a 21 Smart Questions Summit. This is put on by a company that's called Care and Prepare. They've been in the business for over 20 years, and they refer services across the country, health services, to different individuals within their network. And this was done 21 days, so it starts on Friday. 21 smart questions to ensure you are prepared for health emergencies. So my role in that was talk to us about aging in place, or talk to us about if I'm going to look for somewhere else to live, what should I look for if I want to age in place? And then they're going to have other professionals there. This QR code will get you to that link. There's also a link here, and Debbie, did you say you were going to provide that for them?
Yeah, I have it on the table, and then I can also send a follow-up email with a click.
Yeah, she can send that to you. So I thought this would be really great information. Here's what I learned about it. Every day's information starting on the 10th is only good for 48 hours. So if you're listening to that and you're thinking, shoot, I'd love to have a library of all that information. They're a not-for-profit organization. There's a small fee. I think she told me $47. But if it was valuable information for me to have going forward, $47 is pretty cheap. Would you agree? Okay, here we go. I know there's several of you that I said you can't ask your question now. Pat.
Those of you that represent buildings that are multi-story, is there a generator so one elevator is always operating?
Yes.
Some of us were a victim of the weather a few years ago.
That's a good question.
We lived through that too, yes. Become very resourceful, but yes, our elevators are on a backup generator.
That's right, thank you.
I'm sure yours are as well, actually.
Yes.
Okay. You had a question.
What's the difference between a nursing home and an assisted living?
So difference between assisted living and a nursing home. So assisted living is you have some assistance, right? We kind of talked about that. Skilled nursing is when you need the oversight of a nurse around the clock. And you need more assistance than what, it's kind of general, more assistance than what you need in assisted living. You know, if you need extra support for transferring, if there are lifts involved, if there's more medical things involved, I mean, there's a whole host of things that we could go down. There's lots of things that can be done in assisted living, but when it becomes to a point that, again, it's a safety issue and it's beyond our capabilities, then it's time for skilled nursing. And skilled nursing, there's actually kind of two pieces to that, right? So there's the long-term care piece, so that's when that's gonna be your home. Then there's also that short-term rehab piece that can be covered by insurance. So you have a hip, a knee, an illness, and you come in and sometimes it's a couple of weeks or 3 weeks and you get therapy and nursing services, and then we send you back home with some home health or some home care.
And one more.
Yes.
In the assisted living, do you have your own room or are you roommate with someone?
Yes, so in assisted living, you have your own apartment. There are 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms. So if somebody wants a little more space, or sometimes couples need to have more space. There are not a lot in skilled nursing, however. Most of what you're gonna see these days anymore are gonna be private rooms, but there are some shared still out there.
You had a question?
Well, I don't know how to compare things unless I have a picture of a building in mind. I've been to Meridian, so I know that. So what, I don't understand, I didn't get what your style of community.
Are you talking to Ashley or?
Yeah, the condo thing.
Yeah, so it's an apartment community and we have 6 stories. On the ground floor, there's a parking garage, and then all of the apartments are on floor 2 through 6. We have 1 and 2 bedroom apartment homes. Yeah, and the building is called the Hardin at Public Market.
Brand new.
Yes, brand new.
Are you taking on residents yet?
We are. So if you are interested, you are more than welcome to connect with me. Or if you've wrote down the Hardin at Public Market, we are open and operating out of our office, so you are welcome to stop by and take a tour, and we would be happy to answer any questions and give you all of the information that you need about our community.
So I'm curious about that old building that's in front of yours. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so if any of you are familiar with downtown Fort Worth and the historic Public Market building, the Hardin at Public Market is right next to the Public Market building. So where the old vendor stalls used to be, that is where our 62 and over community sits. And then our leasing office is actually inside the Public Market.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you have any events coming up that would be important for somebody to attend?
As of yet, we do not,
Okay.
but we are happy to take everybody's information down and let you know of any activities and events that we have upcoming. We are planning a realtor and broker open house event, but this open house event will be open to everyone,
Great.
not just realtors and brokers.
That's great. How about you, Pam? Do you have anything coming up that would be nice for somebody to come out and see what you have to offer?
Sure, so we have an open house that's up and coming. There's some flyers over there on the table. You're welcome to. My cards are there, as well as Harmon Nelson. He is our marketing director. So we have several different events planned between now and the end of the year. So if you're interested in kind of getting on the list so you get that information, we'd be happy to provide those to you.
Scott, do you have anything coming up?
We don't have anything specifically coming up, but I do have 2 homes that are available now, which every weekend we keep them open up for open houses if you want to come visit them. We're also in the process of building 15 more, which will be ready come January, February, or we can build 200 other homes for you if you don't like the 15 that we have.
Wow.
So pretty much every weekend you can come out and see a home that is finished or various stages of the home being built.
It's worthwhile. It's well worthwhile to go and see. Yes.
Could you put the slide back up of the speakers today?
Yes, I would be happy to do that for you.
Is David Weekly building in Central Arlington, off of California?
So will Encore have 200 eventually?
Encore right now at the Elements of Meridian, we have about 400 homes currently. There's another 250 being built in phase 3.
Okay, great, thank you.
I don't know about the Central Arlington, I'll go.
Paige. Oh, yes, yes.
2 questions. There was some talk of, I believe it was the home care
or long-term care for veterans?
Yes.
What about veteran spouses?
benefit.
So there is an aid and attendance benefit for veteran spouses. The homemaker benefit doesn't qualify, but getting the information through the VA, the primary care doctor, they're the ones that can help you with that. There is a spouse benefit through aid and attendance.
And that's
For VAs.
through home care?
No, I will, if you visit the table back there, I'm gonna give you a number of somebody to call. Our microphone is dying. But I'll give you a number of somebody to call to help you out with veterans benefits for spouses.
And also, cars, vehicles, how is that accommodated or in any of these living arrangements if the person still wants to have a vehicle?
Oh, yeah, I mean, garages, parking, talk to them about that.
Yeah, so at my community, we have a parking garage on the first floor of our community. So having a vehicle is not a problem. There is parking available. We do know that there are sometimes some people who don't have vehicles, and then there are people who have vehicles. So we have parking available.
Is that extra?
If you want a reserved space, it is.
We also have parking. Ours is covered parking. There is no fee for that, that charge. The other thing I would just add is that we're also pet friendly. We have a couple dog parks. So if anybody has a furry friend, there's a little bit of a behavior assessment. They have to kind of meet with me and make sure they're gonna get along. But we have quite a few pets, so it's very home-like.
Yes.
So if you have a home health policy for a long, like 20 years, and you keep paying out, and they keep taking money out of my bank account, how does anyone help you get that money to home health?
So that's for home care, and our billing office works with long-term care, so they would find out what your policy said. Most of the time, there's like a 90-day exclusion period, and then your benefits start, they'll reimburse you for those first 90 days. And but there's a benefits page within your policy, and our billing office is very adept at going over that and telling you which questions to ask when you call the long-term care insurance company. So.
All right. Well, I think it's, oh, yes, go ahead.
In my community, we have homes that are anywhere between 1,700 square feet and 3,000 square feet. So it kind of depends on what's going to fit your needs.
All right. Well, I think we are ready. Let's get our tickets out. It's that time of day to do our drawing. So this is our last event at the Botanic Gardens for this year. And then we will be back here next year. But for those of you that weren't with us last month, in Arlington, we're going to be at Susser Bank next month, where we have held it this year. But starting 2026, we're going to be at the new Arlington Active, which we're super excited about. If you haven't been there, you definitely need to take a look at it. And we've got some great rooms that they're going to be able to put us in over there. So Arlington Active next year. Debbie's going to have schedules and things, or we're just working out the dates right now. But we'll have that all up on our internet, our website.
Yeah, and there's a box in the blue bar on your feedback form. If you want to be notified of next year's schedule, just make sure to check that and we'll put you on the list.
Yeah, one last thing that I forgot to mention, which is important. I showed you that QR code up here for the 21 days. If you go to our Facebook page, Senior Downsizing Experts, you'll see that same ad out there with that link that you can just click on to take you right to that event. I miss anything?
I don't think so.
Okay, great. All right.